Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
Powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. This is the Morning Sports Desk. I'm CJ Baumgartner, Zeke Foreman, our guy, joining us here today in place of Corey Tackman. Corey's been kicked off the show today because... well, I told him, do you want to do a show today? And he said, I got to leave. So told him, fine. I didn't want you anyways. Your name's getting off the title card today. We'll just...
you would just be angry about what happened with the Vikings yesterday anyways. Yeah.
Exactly. He'd just be angry about
we
us.
We don't need that negative energy in here. We don't need that negative Corey Tackman energy
later in the show, and that's going to also bring negative energy. So, yeah, he decided he didn't want that, which is fair. So that's fair. Before we get going, and we got a lot of volleyball brackets, we got football brackets that are released. We have a lot of playoff stuff happening. So before we get going any further in the show, Zeke, we got to talk about the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena, and do they have a deal for you? It's 2 for $22 on specialty or one-topping medium pizzas. You can do it in the store. You can do it in the app. You can do it online and make your orders. That's $11 for a fully cooked one-topping or specialty medium pizza at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. It's a great deal. You feed the family 2 pizzas. You bring it home. That's enough for everybody to eat good that night. Then you got a little leftovers to take to work the next day. So it's a great deal on the 2 for $22 specialty or one-topping medium pizzas at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. And if you just want to go in and enjoy the legendary buffet, you can do that too. It's got the chicken, got the mashed potatoes, got the pizza. It has the dessert pizzas, the breadsticks, the salad bar. I mean, just a cornucopia of things. My wife keeps talking about trying to sneak in to grab a bowl of broccoli cheddar soup because that is her go-to when it's their soup of the day. Yeah, they also have soup at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena on their legendary buffet. And then, of course, you could also just go to enjoy the FunZone Arcade, play some games, win some awesome prizes, and do all of that at Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade, proud sponsors of the Morning Sports Desk. Okay, Zeke, here we go. It's playoff time. We have volleyball brackets. We have football brackets. Let's first jump in to the volleyball bracket. So starting things off, we are going to go to our Section 5A bracket and just kind of start at that end of the totem pole here and work our way upward. Let me see if I can get on the screen here our brackets. We can take a look at them. And here's how things stand when you look. If I zoom out, Zeke, can we see this, or is this a little too far back?
I can still read it.
Still read it? All right, perfect. So taking a look at this bracket here in Section 5A for volleyball on the east end of the subsection, Swanville is going to be hosting McGregor, 7 o'clock first serve in Swanville. HCN Storm is going to be hosting Ogilvie. And now I got to look to see what Hill City Northland, of course. Okay. Is going to be taking on Ogilvie at Northland High School. Mille Lacs is going to be hosting Upsala in the 3-6 matchup. That'll be in Onamia. And then Pine River Back is hosting East Central in Pine River. 7 o'clock first serves for all those in the first round. That'll be Wednesday night for those volleyball brackets for the first round. And, of course, the high seed teams will host in the second round on Friday night at 7 o'clock. And then you turn things around. Next Tuesday is the section subsection final games. And then the section championship is on All Hallows Eve on the 30th, which is next Thursday night, Crosby Ironton High School, the host sites there. Looking over at the other side of the bracket, over on the west side, Nevis hosting the winner of Cass Lake Bena and Browerville. They are taking each other on tonight in Cass Lake, and the winner will host Nevis at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. Bertha Hewitt, the 4 seed, they're going to host the 5th seed LaPorte, 7 o'clock first serve on Wednesday. And then also on Wednesday, 3-seeded Verndale hosting Long Prairie Gray Eagle, the 6th seed, and Sabika hosting Walker Hackensack Akeley as the 2. Sabika, the defending section champions in 5A from a year ago, although Ferndale, Bertha Hewitt, kind of some of the movers and shakers there. But Nevis, that top seed, has been in control for most of the season. And then over on the other side, obviously Swanville kind of feels like their section to lose this year, although it's wide open when you have teams like Pine River Bacchus in there as well. So that looks to be huge. Any matchups you're eyeing up there, Zeke?
Yeah, a lot of good ones. Specifically, when we get closer into it, I mean, like you said, it's a wide open section. You look at the other sections we're going to cover. You can kind of pick out who the section champion is going to be in 6A and in 8-2A and in 8-3A. But you look at 5A, and it could be Sabika, it could be Swanville, it could be Pine River Bacchus, it could be Bertha Hewitt. You just don't know. And 5A is going to be a fun section to watch these next 2 weeks.
Let's move into that section 6A because it is Belgrade Bruton El Rosas, the top seed overall in the section. Interesting quirk about the section 6A tournament this year is that it is going to be no subsections. They are one section for everything in that massive 21 team section. That's a lot of teams. Yeah. Belgrade Bruton El Rosas, the 1 seed. They're going to host the winner of Pelican Rapids and Rothsay tomorrow, or they're playing tonight, and then they'll play on Wednesday. The 8-seeded Wheaton Herman Norcross hosting the 9-seeded Park Christian. Number 4 seed Hillcrest Lutheran Academy going to host Underwood or Norman County East Ulen Hitterdal. That is going to take place on Wednesday night as well, although Underwood playing Norman County East Ulen Hitterdal is tonight in Underwood. Lake Park Audubon tonight hosting Ashby, and the winner of that game will take on the 5th-seeded Henning Hornets on 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. To the other side of the bracket, the number 2 seed in the section's been Parker's Prairie. They've been having a phenomenal season. They're going to take on the winner of Ortonville or New York Mills on Wednesday night. Clinton Graceville Beardsley, the 7 seed, hosting the 10-seeded Battle Lake. And Breckenridge, the 3 seed in the section, going to be hosting Hancock or Brandon Evansville. Those 2 teams are playing each other tonight in Hancock. West Central area, the 6 seed hosting the 11-seeded Benson Braves, and Parker's Prairie and Henning played in a classic just a week ago. They're on opposite sides of the bracket, but Henning, obviously a team that feels like they're peaking at the right time. Parker's Prairie's had a great season all year long, and the number 1 seeded Belgrade Bruton El Rosa team is in there as well. So a lot of different factors, Zeke, in that Section 6A bracket.
Yeah, I know a budding rivalry that's been going on. Baseball specific with Parker's Prairie is Belgrade Bruton El Rosa. And so to have BBE, the 1 seed, Parker's Prairie, the 2, BBE beat Parker's in 5 sets back in September. So that would be a fun section championship in 6A.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff to look at. Let's take a look at the Section 6AA. Number 1 seed Minnewaska area going to host the winner of Melrose area or St. Cloud Cathedral. So Minnewaska area gets a first round bye. They don't play till Friday. Melrose and St. Cloud Cathedral will play on Wednesday. Sox Center, the 4 seed, hosting the 13-seeded Piers, and that is going to be in Sox Center on Wednesday night. 7 o'clock first serve for all these on Wednesday night in the opening round matchups. Royalton, the 5th seed, hosting the 12th seed Pillager. Over on the other side of the section, it's the 2-seeded Albany waiting the winner of Malacca and Holdingford on Wednesday. Pequot Lakes is taking on Staples Motley Wednesday. Corey Tackman will have coverage of that one on 98.5 FM and AM 1430. KNSP, The Fan. 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock first serve from Pequot Lakes High School. 6-seeded Foley taking on the 11-seeded Osakis on Wednesday as well. And then high seeds all the way up until the section championship game, which will be played on Halloween Eve on the 30th at St. Cloud Apollo High School. Got Pillager in there, Zeke. We have Osakis in there, Staples Motley. But really, in this section, Minnewaska area has been phenomenal, and you can't quite count out the Main Streeters or the Albany Huskies either.
Yeah, Minnewaska, 25-0 coming into the tournament. The closest team in that West Central Conference was Sox Center, and Minnewaska took all 6 sets from the Main Streeters this season. So it's really the Lakers section to lose at this point.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, can't forget about Pequot Lakes either, the 2023 state champions in AA. So a lot of things happening in that one. But let's go to the section where we have the defending state champions in the Holly Nuggets in Section 8AA. They're the 1 seed. They get a first round bye. They are not going to play until Friday night in Holly. They're going to play the winner of Thief River Falls or Barnesville, who play on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. Perham takes on Crookston, 7 o'clock in Perham on Wednesday. 5th-seeded Frazee hosting the 12th-seeded War Road, 6 o'clock first serve in Frazee on Wednesday night as well. And then moving to the other side of the section, number 2-seeded Dilworth Glendon Felton, who would be the 1 seed in like basically any other section this year.
Yeah.
But they have Holly in there, so they get the 2. They're going to play East Grand Forks or Monaga. East Grand is going to host Monaga on Wednesday night in the 7-10 matchup. Roseau is going to take on Red Lake, 3-seeded Rams, the 14-seeded Red Lake. And that is going to be 7 o'clock first serve on Wednesday. Wadena Deer Creek hosting Park Rapids area on the Highway 71 rivalry at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night for that one. High seeded all the way up until the section semifinal game. Section semifinal games and the section championship game are to be determined as to what site they will be played at. But the section championship game in 8AA will be played on Saturday, November 1st, wherever that is going to be. So looking in 8AA, I mean, look, there's a bunch of other teams that have a chance. You can't count anybody out. Perham's having a good year. Wadena Deer Creek is always feisty. DGF is right there. But, I mean, Holly just feels like they're on a warpath, right?
Yeah, 2 losses coming into this season, or coming into the postseason, both coming in tournaments. Lost to Watertown Mayor in a tournament back in September. And then over at MEA break, guess who? The undefeated 25-0 Minnewaska area Lakers beating Holly in 3 sets in that tournament in Fergus Falls. So, yeah, wide open. When you have the defending state champion, you have to lean towards Holly to go back to back. They've been number 1 all season long in Class 2A.
Yeah, it's a huge dogfight. It's awesome to get to follow and get to see everything shake out. By the way, we are going to have coverage of Wadena Deer Creek and Park Rapids area on Wednesday night. On the Superstation K106 105.9 FM, also streaming online at WadenaRadio.com or the Superstation K106 mobile app. 6:45 pregame. That is a 7 o'clock first serve on the Superstation. And by the way, you can find the full broadcast schedule when you go online to WadenaRadio.com or by following Sports Cow on Facebook. Can I get a moo?
Moo.
Moo. There's a lot of things to track in 9-man football. Let's go to those brackets, which were released last, I should say, Wednesday, kind of, or
Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Yeah,
brackets were pretty much set. Volleyball kind of takes a while because of tournaments. Football, you're pretty much ready to roll. Taking a look in section 5 of the 9-man bracket. Cromwell Wright, the number 1 seed, they get a first-round bye. They're going to play on Saturday against either Mille Lacs or Sabika. Mille Lacs Raiders are going to host, and the Trojans are going to go on the road for that matchup as well for the right to take on Cromwell Wright. Bertha Hewitt, the 2 seed, taking on the 7-seeded McGregor, and then Ogilvie, the 3 seed, taking on the 6th-seeded Verndale. And the winner of all of these games will play on Saturday at the high seed at 2 o'clock for those kickoffs, and then the section championship game is on that Thursday, 6 o'clock from Brainerd High School in the section championship game. Taking a look in and by the way, Cromwell Wright, the defending section champions. Nevis, who is usually a mainstay in this section, is up in 11-man this year. So it's kind of wide open. There's a bit of like a kind of transitive property circle, Zeke, when you look at Cromwell had lost to Mille Lacs, but Mille Lacs had lost to Ogilvie and Bertha Hewitt. And Cromwell's beaten Ogilvie and Bertha Hewitt. So, like, everybody's kind of beating everybody. Anybody in the top 4 or even 5 in Sabika could really make a case that, like, hey, if things go our way, we could have a really fun section tournament.
I think so. Parity is always awesome, especially in 9-man football. But you look at Bertha Hewitt and the way that they've put up some points since they lost to Cromwell Wright. They've hung 64 points on McGregor 2 weeks ago. Put 40 points on Mille Lacs to secure that 2 seed last week. And you looked at the game before they lost to Cromwell, they hung 64 points on Sabika. They hung 44 points on Carleton Renshaw. So once the Bears offense gets going, I mean, it's an offense I want to be behind in this tournament.
Pretty tough to stop. Let's take a look in Class 9-man Section 4 just quickly and run through the things happening there. Hillcrest Lutheran Academy is the 1 in that one. Rothsay, the 4, taking on the 5th-seeded Underwood in Rothsay tomorrow night. And then Border West is the 2 seed. They get a bye. They are going to take on Hancock or Ortonville. 3-seeded Owls taking on the 6-seeded Ortonville. And they are going to play tomorrow night, 6 o'clock in Hancock And then, of course, Fargo Dome will be at 11:30 a.m. on that Thursday to get things going in that Section 4 for 9-man. Let's go to 11-man football, bump up to Section 5 in 5A. In 5A here, waiting for the right bracket to load. But we get ready in 5A. Upsala Swanville area, the defending section champions, they get a bye. They're going to take on the winner of Browerville, Eagle Valley, or Benson, who are playing in Browerville tomorrow night. Then over on the other side, we have Belgrade, Bruton, El Rosa, who's the 2 seed. They are going to take on the winner of Ashby, Brandon, Evansville, or West Central area in the 3-6 matchup that is going to be in Brandon, Evansville, I believe, on that Tuesday night game. And then the winner of that game will go to BBE on the Saturday. Section championship game is Halloween, that early game right at 10 o'clock for 5A. Looking in Section 6A, which has a back-to-back section champion in Parker's Prairie, that is not the 1 seed this year. The number 1 seed is Breckenridge. They're going to be hosting New York Mills at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. 4-seeded Otter Tail Central Bulldogs going to take on the 5th seed Pine River Bacchus on Tuesday night. Then over on the other side, the Parker's Prairie Panthers hosting the Nevis Tigers, and Nevis Tigers' first ever playoff game as an 11-man squad. That'll be 6 o'clock in Parker's Prairie tomorrow night. And by the way, I can mention you can listen to that game right here on the Superstation K106, 105.9 FM, streaming online at WadenaRadio.com, or the Superstation K106 mobile app, 5:40 pregame, 6 o'clock kickoff on the Superstation K106. Then Walker Hackensack Akeley, the 3 seed, they're having a great season at 7-1, taking on the Lake Park Audubon Raiders. 6 o'clock kickoff in Walker. And then, of course, the section championship game will be 12:30 on Halloween at the Fargo Dome. Zeke, Parker's Prairie is having another great year. They have had a great season at 7-1, but over on the other end, Breckenridge just feels like a freight train.
Yeah, the Cowboys have been number 1, not just in the section, but I think they're number 1 in the state now, QRF-wise. And so Breckenridge is going to be a handful. They're the team that gave Parker's Prairie their only loss. But don't count out Walker Hackensack Akeley and the turnaround season that they've had. Covered them a little bit last year. Offense was not great. I think they scored their first touchdown in like week 4. And then a year later, 7-1, the 3 seed behind the 2-time defending section champion and the number 1 team in the state in Section 6A.
Yeah, a lot of fun games. That'll be a great matchup on that second round Saturday between the Panthers and the Wolves if everything goes to chalk in that.
But that LPA offense, they can hang some points on too. So don't count out Lake Park Audubon with the upset over Walker Hackensack Akeley.
And I think too, it's fascinating. Pine River Bacchus got the 5 seed because they were supposed to play Cass Lake Bena, remember, in that first round or in that MEA Wednesday playoff matchup. And then Cass Lake Bena forfeit their season. So Pine River Bacchus picked up Spectrum. And they beat Spectrum, which is a 3A school. And that gave Pine River Bacchus enough QRF to kind of jump above Lake Park Audubon and Nevis to get the 5 seed. So a big shakeup kind of in that final Wednesday to really kind of shuffle everything into place here. So it's fascinating. We'll see what happens. By the way, if Parker's Prairie does get to rematch against Breckenridge again, that game against Breckenridge was only a 1-score game. It was like 21 to 13 or something like that. 21-12 maybe. It was basically a 1-touchdown game. So that'll be a fun one if those 2 teams get a chance to rematch each other like they did a year ago in the playoffs where Parker's Prairie went into Breckenridge and was able to upset the Cowboys and go back not only to the Fargo Dome, but to the state tournament and to their first ever top 4 finish at US Bank Stadium. So
yeah, they found Minneota, who I think is won 41 straight at this point now.
Yeah, they're just chugging
the longest winning streak in the state, Minneota Vikings.
They're good.
They're cruising.
they're so good. Oh my goodness. We were both at that game, and Parker's Prairie is a really good team. Oh my goodness, Minneota.
Minneota was awesome.
They're awesome. There's no way around it. All right, looking at Section 6 AA in football. Pillager, the 1 seed, rightfully earned and the top team in all of AA right now. And they get the 1 seed. They're also district champions this year. They're going to take on the winner of Osakis and Royalton. The 2 teams, Osakis and Royalton, playing on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Pillager gets the first round bye. They'll play them on Saturday. Holding for the 2 seed, they're going to have to host Monaga tomorrow night, 6 o'clock kickoff. the southernmost team in the section taking on the northernmost team in the section on a Tuesday night.
Why not?
Why not? That's how it's seeded. That's how you got to play it.
Yep.
Staples Motley, the 3 seed, hosting the 6 seed Wadena Deer Creek in a little bit of a Highway 10 rivalry revival. These two teams haven't played each other in the last couple seasons. I believe the last time that both of these teams squared off against each other was in the playoffs in 2022 when Staples Motley had their season where they didn't win a game in year one of Coach Drew Potter and things like that. And what a difference a couple of years makes, huh?
Yeah, should be a fun one. I mean, this is how Staples Motley kind of wants to start their run to another section championship. Is if you're going to go through somebody, you might as well go through Wadena Deer Creek to get there. I mean, WDC, I think they were supposed to play last year in the playoffs, but WDC last year forfeited their last handful of games and their playoff spot. And so Monaga had Staples in that first round in that 5-team section. This year expanding to 7 teams. And like the storylines have been all season long, you talk about Pillager over eclipsing Holdingford. Holdingford was number 1 all year long. Then last year, Pillager goes in and stomps Park Rapids area. Holdingford goes in and stomps Sauk Center. But the way that the QRF matched up, I mean, we talked to Shane Tappy with Staples Motley after Pillager beat Staples, and we were kind of chatting after the game, and he says, that is your number 1 seed. And Tyler and I are like, how is Pillager going to catch Holdingford? Holdingford is just heads and shoulders above everyone else. And Shane Tappy called it. Pillager, the number 1 seed, Holdingford, the number 2. And so for Huskies and Cardinals fans who want that rematch in the playoffs, if it's going to happen, it's going to have to happen in the Fargo Dome in the section championship, because Pillager's over here, Staples Motley is over here, and now has to go through Holdingford, who is the number 2 team in the state, just by the slimmest of margins in QRF wise, if they want to get Pillager at the Fargo Dome on that Halloween Friday.
Believe that these two teams in Pillager and Holdingford would be one of the top teams in AAA according to QRF as well. So that just goes to show you how strong.
If you look, they would be the number 1 seed in section 6-3A by a long shot, and Staples would be barely the 2 seed.
Yeah,
they're 7-1 at the 3.
This is gonna be the funnest. I don't care. This is gonna be the funnest section tournament in all of high school football in Minnesota. I'm calling
it. You look at the way that some of these section championships are going to pan out at the Fargo Dome. I mean, we're just talking potentially Parker's Prairie versus Breckenridge at that 12:30 game. Well, the section 6-2A tournament would follow that at 3:00, and it's going to likely be Pillager versus either Holdingford or Staples Motley, which is going to be a fantastic section championship game, regardless of which 2 of those 3 teams are in it.
By the way, can't count out Osakis either. They won the section a couple years ago, and last year upset Pillager in Pillager to go on to the Fargo Dome, where they would lose to Staples Motley. So
that's right. They're a top 10 team in the state too. So you can't count out the Silver Streaks either. As good as Pillager has been, yeah,
it's going to be a dogfight.
Buckle up. 6-2 is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. There's a whole lot of fun things happening around everywhere. And I think too, should be noted in section 8AA as well. Not that we need to go over the entire bracket, but something that's a big development kind of on that selection day. Frazee, the 1 seed in section 8AA, and the Barnesville Trojans to the 2 seed. And I've seen that Frazee team work. They're a nice squad. And that is them and Barnesville kind of feel like they're on a crash course for the section championship game on Halloween at 5:30, and kind of one of the final games of the night.
Another really good one, potentially. Just bam, bam, bam.
Bam, bam, bam. It's what you want to see. Your high school football games, these playoff games, whether it's football, whether it's volleyball, whether it's cross country, these section matchups, these section tournaments are the state tournament's fun just because it's on a level of its own, but you get some of your best games all year in the section tournament, because these are teams that know each other. These are teams that play each other. These are teams that, like, you got to get past X team to get to state. And once you get to state, everybody's kind of like, well, everything's off the table. You're playing with house money, like whatever. Mm-hmm. But in these section tournaments, there's rivalries. There's things that go on where you just get these really great, intriguing matchups. And we just have so many of them, whether it's volleyball, whether it's, just a ton of different things going on. So it's going to be awesome. And by the way, you can find our full broadcast schedule when you go online to WadenaRadio.com or follow Sports Cow on Facebook.
Moo.
All right, Zeke, let's talk about something that's not as intriguing and not as fun. And that was the Minnesota Vikings choking yesterday. They lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. What was the final score? Like 26-22 or
28-22.
28-22. Yeah. There's a lot of things that happened in this game, a lot of weird things that happened in this game. When you look at the Vikings getting a touchdown, like giving up a touchdown to A.J. Brown, of course, on drive number 1, because of course it had to be the Vikings trying to defend the tush push by having a guy just lay down
on the ground
horizontally.
It was innovative. You have to give Brian Flores credit for that. No one's tried that yet.
Once, so there you go. You had that happen, and then you also had Blake Brandel getting called for. By the way, Carson Wentz, like a couple when they were in the red zone, had the ball get snapped 20 miles over his head, and Will Records like, I'll just kick a 59-yard field goal like it's nothing. And Blake Brandel getting a touchdown taken away because of a BS holding call. Yep. There's just a lot of things that happened in this game that were weird, but also I think the weirdest thing was Carson Wentz, who made the easiest of throws look really hard. And look, Carson Wentz over his 4 games as starter for the Vikings has went 2-2. And that's exactly what you want a backup quarterback to be. But I think anybody who had any sliver of hope, and I mean this to you people out in the West, who had any sliver of hope that Carson Wentz was going to find some career resurgence with the Vikings a la Sam Darnold, you realize that Sam Darnold is a much better quarterback than Carson Wentz. And for reasons why. There were so many wide open receivers, Zeke, that he just missed. Or like Jordan Addison had a touchdown, but he underthrew it so bad that Addison was barely able to recover and get it in bounds. TJ Hawkinson was wide open in the end zone, but he threw it so bad that Hawkinson dove, and it looked like a catch to me. I have no idea. They're like, he bobbled it. The ground forced the ball to pop up in the air.
Yeah,
like,
New York said he bobbled it. The 4 officials in Minneapolis said he caught it, but New York and Vegas said no, he didn't catch it.
Those 4 officials, by the way, just did not have a great night. They missed an obvious false start on the A.J. Brown touchdown. Yep. There was the touchdown for the Vikings, the only one of the day, by the way, because they kick like 20 field goals. Came from like a direct snap play to Jordan Mason. And at first they ruled him down, but then upon expedited review, they changed it to a touchdown, which I didn't know you could do on a scoring play, but they didn't really announce it. It was just botched 6 ways from Sunday on like the execution of it. The Eagles got called for a delay of game. The officials said delay of game. And then they're like, oh no, timeout Philadelphia. Like it was the entire game was a clown show. Everybody had part in it being a clown show. The Vikings stopped the Eagles running game and they said, dare us over the top. And the Eagles are like, okay. And Jalen Hurts threw about 4 deep balls to A.J. Brown. Isaiah Rodgers got cooked against this former team. So many things in this game happened. There's so many different ways you could blame it at, but I'm just going to put it on this. Carson Wentz lost in that football game. Like, I'm sorry. He just played so bad. You had so many chances in the red area, so many chances with the football. If you score even one more touchdown, you probably win if you turn one of those field goals into a touchdown, you probably win the game. Like, just everything about it. It was just their failures in the red zone. And this just all year long, whether it's been McCarthy, whether it's been Carson Wentz, this has not been a good offense.
Yeah, you look at Philadelphia. A stat I heard this morning is Philadelphia's 5-2, and they've been out yardaged in all 7 games. And you look at the box score, and the Vikings had almost 400 yards of offense yesterday. Carson Wentz, 313 yards through the air.
Oh, let's not forget the pick 6 by Carson Wentz as well, which he threw right to a guy.
Pick 6, yeah. So 2 interceptions, 313 passing yards. I watched Thursday night. I watched the Icy Hot Bowl, they called it, Aaron Rodgers versus Joe Flacco. And in that game, Jamar Chase had 16 receptions from Joe Flacco. And I was like, if Carson Wentz can start doing that, if he can start connecting on these little slant routes, little fades down the sideline, if he can get 16 balls in Justin Jefferson's hands as easily as what Joe Flacco's doing right now, the Vikings should have no problem. And they tried, but Carson just couldn't hit his wide open guys. And another fun stat I heard is you look at the dominance of quarterbacks right now. You look at Sam Darnold and what he's doing in Seattle, and you look at Daniel Jones and what he's doing in Indianapolis. The Vikings had both those guys under contract last year and let both of them walk. They're both gone.
Awesome. By the way, remember the fan base last year that wanted to get rid of Darnold? It was like, we don't need him. He was a bum. He was not looking like a bum in Seattle.
He's looking really good.
I was on this program last year going, and this is like a 30,000 foot view for the Vikings. If they made the right decision to stick with McCarthy, that's what they should have did. That was their plan. You roll with the young quarterback. You use the salary to improve the roster. They put a good roster around him. Like, everything was set. McCarthy just got hurt.
Yeah.
There's nothing much you could do about that. They wanted to keep Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones wanted to go somewhere where he knew he was going to play and have a chance to be the guy. Can't blame him for that.
They still got that compensatory 4th round pick. Yeah. And I don't think it helps the situation that in the 8 quarters we've seen JJ McCarthy play, he's looked terrible in 7 of them.
The Vikings have been losing. They're behind in almost every game. They're behind in every game. Even the games they've won, they were behind almost the entire time and just found a way to kind of grease it out at the end. But every single game, they've been losing a majority of the time. And that doesn't set up your offense for success. I know we talked before we started recording about there's a huge discrepancy between the pass and the run. And that's a little bit on KOC, but also, and I agree with that take. Like, I think they should have ran the ball a little more, but also, what are you supposed to do when you're losing throughout the game? You have to pass when you're down by multiple scores in the second half. You can't really establish the run. And this is the other weird thing. The Vikings just let so much clock in the last 5 minutes bleed off. There was no urgency when there was like 4 minutes to go. They were like inside the 30 with 4 minutes to go, and they kicked a field goal like with 1:55 left and gave themselves no time to try and get a stop. All the Eagles needed to do was get 1 first down, and they won the game. And I don't know why they were still huddling up and they weren't moving, and they weren't, you'd think, I just don't, just an inexplicable game all the way around for a lot of different reasons. It was ugly. And the fact that it was close, just like the Pittsburgh game, does not do it justice. The Vikings they statistically had a chance, but like vibe wise, they had no chance of winning that game. It's just been a weird season.
Yeah, every game with Philly is ugly like that. And speaking of ugly, now we get the LA Chargers. Did you see what they wore?
They wore
jerseys?
all purple. They wore all yellow uniforms. Excuse me.
Yeah,
because there was everybody joked that they look like the Minions.
Yeah, and they did. For a team that has, in my mind, a top 5 uniform, not just in football but across the board. I hope that LA doesn't wear those on Thursday night. Those were awful. I hated them. Yeah. A color rush with the purple and the yellow, that would give me motion sickness, I think.
JJ McCarthy probably not going to start for that one. Adam Schefter said yesterday, well, as first reported, it was a 6-week injury. And it's like, no, my guy, you said it was a 4-week injury.
He said 2 to 4. Yeah, he's backpedaling.
You're lying or you're being lied to.
Like, he's backpedaling hard.
Which is fine, because do you really want McCarthy starting on a short week if he's still hurt? Probably not. I don't think this is soft benching. I don't think the Vikings are planning anything out. I think McCarthy just is hurt, and you don't want to rush him back if he's not healthy, and then he gets hurt again, and then you have to play Carson Wentz more. Just play Carson Wentz once on a short week, see what happens, figure it out. Maybe Brosmer, maybe. But anyway.
Some Brosmer, yeah, because why not throw JJ McCarthy out there to the Lions the following week?
Literally, throw him out to the Lions. Literally into the Lions den at 4.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
All right, quickly, Zeke, we got a couple more minutes before we got to get out of here. Twins are in their managerial search. They've interviewed a multitude of candidates, according to Dan Hayes of The Athletic. One of the biggest was former PIRAHNA Nick Punto. I mean, that kind of shocked me. He's been a coach with the Padres. But the fact that he's getting an opportunity to manage, does this feel real, or does this feel like a red meat to the fan base kind of a thing?
It seems like whenever we get a manager like this, it's always that weird utility outfielder or middle infielder guy who did everything very, very good, but was never the Gold Glove or All-Star caliber dude. And Nick Punto fits that bill. If you're looking for a guy whose play style was a lot like Rocco Baldelli, what he did in Tampa Bay and in Boston. I mean, Nick Punto, I mean, looking back at the Gold Glove nominees, the Twins were 0 for 30 on Gold Glove nominees, unless you want to count Ty France, who was nominated for a Gold Glove at first base, now with Toronto. Well, kind of with Toronto, not on the playoff roster, but Ty France nominated for a first base Gold Glove. And so the defense has to shore up. You could argue Buxton should have been top 3.
Yeah, I don't know
why he wasn't. I'll never know. Finally played a full season in center field, and you don't honor the best center fielder in baseball with at least a nomination. I don't get it. I'm still on the Matt LeCroy bandwagon. Why they haven't brought Matt LeCroy in yet?
Because he might be the manager in Washington.
That's the hookup. When they fired Davey Martinez midseason, there was some speculation that LeCroy was going to become the interim manager at the big league level. Well, now Washington is just cleaning out minor league system stuff. They are wiping everybody off the board. They've given LeCroy the opportunity to stay on with the organization. And it's looking like he's going to do that. If he didn't, I would have had him in the door right away that the following morning after you let Rocco go. I think
he just looks like Ron Gardenhire.
He does. Yeah. So it'll take you back to the, well, if you go back to the mid aughts, not so much the
oh, believe me, the poll ads want to take us back to the mid aughts and spending level on my poor, which is, I think, they also interviewed a few different candidates. Ramon Vasquez, Red Sox bench coach, New York Yankees hitting coach, James Rowson, old friend,
familiar face. Yeah, why not go back to the well of
Derek Shelton, who was the manager of the Pirates and Rocco Baldelli's bench coach.
The Twins way, baby.
He's the only one that they've interviewed that's got managerial experience. Now, I don't think that necessarily means a ton because the Giants are going to hire the Tennessee Volunteers head baseball coach. So, big league managerial experience does matter a little bit, but also, if you think he's the best guy for the job, just hire the best guy. And I feel like a former player is what they're rolling on. All the guys they're interviewing pretty much are former players or somebody that's had a connection to the organization. But whatever. We'll have to figure it out along the way. We'll probably know sometime before Halloween. That kind of just feels like they'll make a decision in the next 10 days because they want it done before November, or at least before the World Series ends, I should say, because that's when the offseason starts. That's really when you start planning next year's roster, and you kind of want to be you want to be starting to fill out staff while you're doing that and things like that, and you don't kind of want to waste time. So
staff for sure. But are the Twins really going to spend money on free agency this year? I don't know.
Probably. No, they got a few waiver claims to pick up, though. They're going
to pick up the dude who hit 138 for Pittsburgh.
Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan.
Exactly. Yeah, the Mets are already talking about which one would you rather have, Pablo Lopez or Joe Ryan. So they're expected to go all in and make a big trade.
Fans are like, fine, you can take Ramon Vasquez, but we want Joe Ryan.
We want Joe Ryan in return. Yeah, I don't know. I think as long as you get a guy who's going to motivate your players, I mean, you can leave strategy and all that stuff to your hitting coaches. And you look at the Yankees brought in Aaron Boone for better or for worse at this point. He had no managerial experience. Alex Cora, no managerial experience. There's been a lot of dudes that are just brought in because of the name. You look at the Albert Pujols rumors with the LA Angels. You look at Torrey Hunter, Nick Puno. None of these guys have managed at the big league level. Paul Molitor never managed at the big league level. He was like an instructor.
He was a bench coach for like a year, but he was like a coach waiting. Yeah. But he's a guy who knew strategy, who has the resume. But I think if you can get the guy who's going to motivate players, a guy that people are going to respect in the clubhouse, number one, and then fill your staff with the knowledgeable dudes below that, the guys who can read the stats off the tablet in the Twins case, get the right guy and then fill in behind him. Exactly. All right, Zeke, thanks for hopping on the show today. It's the Morning Sports Desk powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. See you next time.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.